Hello and welcome, Adam Thomas from Balancing Touch Reflexology. So good to see you, and thanks for joining me today. Today I want to ask a question and try and answer it of how can understanding foot anatomy help you with your reflexology? So yes, the anatomy of the foot is really important. I had to learn it when I was learning reflexology, and I learned all the bones and I could name them all. I still think I can. Um, but I know how they look and how they sort of move and all that. So that's really great. And of course, I create these little cheat sheets for me, so I don't have to remember all the names a lot of the time. But it is really good to understand the anatomy. But like I said, once I learned it, I kind of like forgot about it and moved on to reflexology, where I see the mini person in the feet and I work that and stuff. So obviously, as a reflexologist, we learn the points and it reflects. We see the body reflected on the feet, but we're not working the anatomy, right? Which is a big misunderstanding from a lot of people. They think we're crazy because we're working there is no skull in the big toe, for example, right? But we're working the reflective, properties of that. So, what I've been finding lately and what I've been really interested in is going back and looking again at anatomy and just how it lines up in reflexology is just amazing. So I'll share a little story with you because I noticed I was having a bit of knee pain, and I just want to share the story with you. So I'm in this adult karate class, and we have an exercise at the very beginning where we lift up our big toes, right? We lift up our big toes and keep our, the other toes down on the ground, and then we switch. So we push the big toes down and then lift up the other toes, right? And then we do that again. So when you kick sideways, for example, you make something called a knife foot, right? So you lift up a big toe, and then that makes it's stronger along where your heel is to actually, kick something, right? So by doing that, it makes the foot more structurally strong and more precise when you're actually, going to kick something. So the interesting thing that I found is I'm getting a little bit of knee pain on the inside of my left leg, and I only notice it when I'll wear sort of like bad shoes, the snow's out and things like that. So when I'm walking around in sort of big clunky shoes that don't have a lot of movement, I will notice that I'll get pain, or I want to put on my cool shoes that I got from Tokyo and that sort of thing, and walk around the mall and think I'm really cool. But they don't allow for my foot to be have natural movement in it, and I notice a little bit of a twinging in my knee when that happens. And so what I noticed when I was doing this exercise is my right foot was really strong. My big toe could go up and down, and I can actually like thud it on the ground, right? When my toes are up in the air like that, I can really put a lot of pressure down on my big toe. But my left, I couldn't. I have a hard time. I can lift it up fine. That's totally fine. But if I'm trying to lift up the toes and push down the big toe, for example, there's definitely an imbalance between my right and left. And it's interesting enough because if you're walking and you're not pushing off correctly with the big toe, the foot kind of does a little bit of a slide, right? Because there's no toe to push it off. So if any of your toes actually are lifting up a little bit, when you're walking, you are actually kind of rotating on like the ball of your foot, or the ball of the big toe in my example here. So as I'm walking, I'm gently shifting, right? And so this is really interesting. And what it's causing is at that little minute, every time I take a step, that little spin that's happening is upstream from that. So I have my, my shin bone, right? The tibia and the fibula, right? They're actually turning a little bit, and then my femur, which is my leg bone, is also turning a little bit. So as I'm walking, it's doing this kind of like a twisting, very minute stuff that I would never notice, right? And I'm noticing that when I'm working on my feet and getting that stronger, or walking with more clear intention, that I don't get any knee pain. And so this is really interesting to me. So I wanted to go and check the anatomy a bit more, and so I'm understanding how my foot is working as I'm walking. And of course, when you put it up against, you know, a chart like this, and then you bring it over to a chart like this, which is just the skeletal system here, we can sort of superimpose what's kind of going on. And I've noticed too that because I'm doing a little bit of a spinning here, I'm getting more of a callus sort of over in this area here, right? And oddly enough, when my knee is kind of letting me know there's something going on there, I'm also have neck tension. And I've noticed lately that I've been having a lot of neck tension. Of course, it's on the left side. And big toe, look where that is. It's right where the neck is on the left side, right? So over here. So knowing how my foot is functioning while I'm walking is letting me know that there's a weakness there, right? So the muscles need to be somehow strengthened, and it's compensating, so it's creating sort of this knee problem, which is all going all the way up to my neck. Like I'm feeling it in my neck, because everything else in my body feels really great, but I'm feeling it. I'll get the little warning sign in the knee, and then my neck will actually bother me for a little while. And I've noticed it right after I've been, you know, doing bad posture, sitting in front of the computer too long, or, you know, as I said before, walking in, you know, bad shoes, right? That don't allow my foot to move, right? And so it's kind of interesting when you stack, you know, stuff that's going on in the anatomy of your foot and how it functions to a reflexology chart. You're going to get a lot of insights into it, right? So yeah, there's the neck issue up here, right? I'm also getting a little bit of a callus I've noticed over on this side. So it's also relating to, you know, could be related to my wrist stuff. And then, you know, as you do a bit of referral reflexology, you're going to notice that the wrists are related to the elbow, which are related to, look, the knee here, right? Right, so you have this model here. So, and then it follows that way. So I just find it really interesting, right now anyway, to kind of go back and look at the anatomy of the feet, and when there's a weakness in the foot or the leg muscles, right, it can reflect in our beautiful reflexology charts just as clear, right? So as a reflexologist, we're able to tell, like we'll be working on the points and stuff, and we'll notice like, yeah, okay, there's some calluses here and that sort of thing, and then we can relate it to that part of the body, right? And when we work on the feet, we're actually, you know, opening up those muscles and tendons and muscles, and, you know, because there's a lot going on in the foot, right? In each foot, there's 26 bones, right? There's 33 joints. There's more than 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments, right? Like it's a crazy amount. Like it's a quarter of our body's bones, right? In this little concentrated area. And the job of it is to, you know, absorb, as you know, as we walk and run and stuff, it's to absorb as shock absorbers, right? And so if our feet aren't properly functioning, we're going to feel the shock through the rest of our body, right? It's just a fact, right? And the beautiful thing about it is that we see the little person on the feet, right? And so when we're working, we can tell what's going on in the body. So it's not really, you know, a while ago, it was always sort of this mystery reflexology, like how does it work and stuff like that. But if we're looking strictly structurally here, it makes a lot of sense how the body reflects from, you know, dysfunction in the, you know, I guess anatomy and the muscles and things like that. When there's a weakness, the foot has to compensate, or the leg muscles have to compensate or work a different way, and they usually cause pain upstream before the feet actually feel any pain. So the feet kind of, in certain ways, in certain conditions and certain things like that, like this is, I'm talking really broad here, but in certain ways, the feet are the last to kind of bother us, right? So I just find this really interesting, and I'm really into this right now is focusing on, strengthening my feet and learning some really cool exercises and things like that to help the rest of my body, right? Because we know that by working on the feet, it helps the rest of the body, right? So I just wanted to share this little story with you. And yeah, a simple thing to do is that I'm aware of now is that when I tell my left toe to lift off the ground and to go and then lift all the other toes off the ground, there's an issue there. There's a signaling problem. So I don't have control over my foot, right? There's a weakness there. And if there's a weakness there, it's going to cause something upstream as well, right? And so possibly it's my neck pain, possibly it's my knee pain. So I'm going to play around with this to strengthen my big toe and see if it's going to help my knee and neck problem, right? Because as we saw before, it's reflected in those areas, right? So a bunch of little things upstream from my feet could be affected. I just wanted to share with you that, something that wasn't found reflexology wise, in my karate class, found a weakness in my feet. So look down at your feet. Can you do that? Can you lift up your big toes and then put them down and lift up your other toes, right? And if you can't, there's something wrong there, right? As far as being able to tell like I can tell my fingers to move like this, right? And our feet, like I said before, have 26 bones and 33 joints, over 100 muscles and blah, 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 right? They wouldn't be there if they weren't meant to move, right? Our feet and all the joints and stuff are meant to move. Same with our hands. Look at that, right? I don't have a joint in the middle of my leg or here, right? I don't have a joint here because it's not meant. I don't need it to. I don't need it to have movement, right? I need, these joints here and this joint at my elbow and my shoulder so I can, feed myself, right? So I can reach down, grab some tea, put food in my mouth, or if something's coming towards me, I can throw my cup of tea at them, right? So as protection. So I don't need joints where they're not in my body, right? Because joints, when they show up in your body, they are there for movement, right? So if you have all this joints and stuff in your feet, it's meant to move. It's meant for all these different movements, right? You have basically two groups of muscles, right? You have extrinsic and intrinsic muscles in your foot, right? Muscles that come from the outside, from your leg muscles and wrap around your ankles and stuff. So those are meant for kind of bigger, placing the foot, right? They're meant for bigger movements of, okay, got to get my foot in this position so I can walk forward. And then you have all the intrinsic muscles, which are the muscles that are in the foot, right? Within the foot. And there's a bunch of layers and stuff, and those have to do with, finite movement of the toes and spreading out and moving around. But when we walk around on flat surfaces and stuff them in shoes that don't allow for all that movement, we lose the ability to use our feet, right? And that's what I've found from my class that I go to, is that I've lost my ability, especially in my left big toe, right? I've lost the ability to have good control over it. And that weakness is throwing something off in my body. And so that is just a really cool thing. So the more that you know about the anatomy and the functioning of your feet, plus the bonus is you're a reflexologist or you're interested in reflexology, you get this other layer that we get to superimpose the entire body over top of and then find out more about what's going on. So when you have a client or somebody you're talking to and you see there's weakness in the foot, you can relate it to to this map basically, right? This is only the skeletal system. Of course, we put everything in, but the skeletal system is so great because it gives you an overview structure of the entire body, right? So when we have this beautiful map, we can relate it to the client or whoever we're, talking to about their feet, and we can give them some really great information about what's going on in their body, right? So anyway, blah, blah, blah. It's an exciting thing. It's very simple, right? It's nothing new. I already knew this before, but until I have an experience like this where it's so obvious, of course I don't see it, right? So thanks for watching today. I hope that was useful, and I want to make some videos on maybe some exercises and what to do about when you find a weakness, right? So it's really great because as reflexologists we can find right away like where calluses are and where the weaknesses may be. But then what, right? So I want to put together some exercises that are really targeted for certain conditions that we as reflexologists find in the foot. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully coming soon, but we'll see. Thanks again for watching today, and remember to keep those feet happy. Bye-bye. If you're interested in learning more about reflexology, you could subscribe to the channel below. It's also very helpful to hit that like button, and feel free to share it with anybody who you think might be interested in it. You can find my online courses, Reflexology Charts, and other reflexology goodies over on my website, which is balancingtouch.ca. Thank you so much for watching today, and if you have some more time, you can check out some other videos. Till next time, this is Adam Thomas from balancingtouch.ca. See you later.